that would be my pick. Brandon, if you're listening, you're looking for a new coach, I would advise you based off, your structure, your muscularity, your conditioning, and the issues with the, a little bit of the hamstring and glute region, that Stefan, boss of Outlaw, would be highly recommended as your new choice for a coach. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Muscle Discord. And we have a little bit of, we want to call it breaking news. It's a story in bodybuilding, and I like to cover these when these events happen. Uh, Brandon Curry and Abdullah have parted ways. They are no longer in a coaching relationship together. Now they've been together for 8 years, so this is it's a big story, right? Abdullah, went through the process of making Brandon Curry, if you want to say it that way, a Mr. Olympia, and Arnold Classic champ throughout those 8 years. So they have a great history together. Obviously, they have a great mutual respect for one another and relationship together. And so it is interesting to see them part ways after a long relationship together in this industry, coaching relationship. And so one would wonder why. Why would, after 8 years, would Brandon decide? Because I'm assuming it's Brandon saying, you know what, I'm done here. I want to move on to other, coach or do my own prep. We'll dive into that in a second. But let's just read what Abdullah posted today. This was today that this was announced. From a vision to a reality to written in a history forever as a Olympia champion. Okay. Brandon and I worked together and done great things and many achievements. The first time Brandon and I talked during the Olympia before we team up, he admired my work with the legend Victor Martinez, and I told him, if we team up, you'll win the Olympia, right? And we won it, right? They did. The story of winning started on the 26/12/2016 before New Year back, and the rest is history. I told two guys that we will win the Olympia. The first was Big Ramy before he started bodybuilding, and he was around 96 kilograms. The second time was Brandon, when I told him, you'll win it. God has given me a vision to know the potential and limits of the athletes, and whether can tell win it or not. Sorry, his grammar isn't the best. I coached Brandon, and he's truly a great guy, very humble and respectful. Any coach will be lucky to work with him. Hint, hint. He's very generous and giving person. He gave me 20%, interesting, of his Olympia prize. And he has a great family, and his wife, Brandy, is such a great woman and super supportive. They are a family to me. Good luck, my brother, in the future, and whoever coach you, hint, hint, will be truly likely to work with a person like you. I wish you the best and your family. All right. And then it says, to my fans, I am coming soon. So there it is. Nice message from Abdullah. That's how you do it. Professionally, make a post on Instagram. Don't do it subliminally through your stories, right? Like we've seen other people do. Brandon hasn't come out yet and said anything about the split. I'm sure we're going to see that next here, probably today or hopefully soon, to get his take on this. So where does Brandon go from here next? And why is this happening so close? We're 16 weeks out from the Olympia. Brandon and Abdullah have a long history together, and they have a good track record together. He became the Mr. Olympia with him. So one has to question why he decided to make this change, abruptly before the Olympia. And now, where does Brandon go from here? Does he actually get a new coach? I've heard some talks. I'm not going to name names of who's told me this, and obviously information needs to be verified. But if this person wants me to tell their name, I will say it in the comments below of this video later on. that Brandon is in talks with two other coaches. So he is ready to move on to another coach, and most likely will be obviously prepping at home. I think he's in Florida, versus obviously no longer going to Kuwait to prep. So that's going to be a big change for Brandon. He has a big family, and usually he's training and working out in Kuwait away from his family. So this is going to be a different scenario for him over the past 8 years. This has been what he's been doing. He's been going to Kuwait to train, and he leaves his family and his kids and his wife. So this is going to be a new dynamic for Brandon to be training at home with the family for the Mr. Olympia. I know another YouTuber said that, is Brandon retiring? Brandon's not retiring. He's obviously not retiring. He's going to do the Mr. Olympia. He's been showing progress already in on his Instagram, so that's not happening. Who is going to be his new coach? If I were to advise Brandon to pick a new coach, I would pick this man, because this guy, Stefan, has a tremendous track record, and he's a very hands-on coach, and really know, especially older veteran bodybuilders like Nathan Diasha and now William Bonac. You've seen what he's been able to do to these athletes and how he can peak them for the show. I think Nathan came at it at his all-time best, 7 pounds heavier, and is probably his best condition to date with Stefan. So imagine what he could do with Brandon Curry. So that would be my pick. Brandon, if you're listening, you're looking for a new coach, I would advise you, based off, your structure, your muscularity, your conditioning, and the issues with the, a little bit of the hamstring and glute region, that Stefan, Boss of Outlaw, would be highly recommended as your new choice for a coach. And I'm excited to see Brandon hit the stage this year, because he's going to, obviously. He did post recently his quads update, so good for Brandon. He's focusing on those quads. He knows he needs to bring up those quads. And, he seems focused. He's not hiding away like he normally does. Still not posting as much as other people do. So Brandon is now going to be that wild card at the Olympia. He was fourth last year, and that was fourth after having a medical emergency and having to be in the hospital the night before stepping on the Olympia stage, and he came in fourth. So you do not count out Brandon Curry for this year's Mr. Olympia. Can he win the Mr. Olympia? Sure, he can. Can he surpass, Samson Dauda, Nick Walker, Hadi Choopan? Yeah, he's beat all these guys before. So of course he can. But he needs to come in at his all-time best. And maybe that's why he's made this decision to part ways with Abdullah, because he needs to do something different. He can't keep coming in the same way he's been coming in the last 3-4 years. It's not enough, right? He lost the Olympia title. Maybe that was a controversial loss, some would say. But now he needs to come in at his all-time best. Is this his last Olympia? I think this is his last Olympia, to be honest. And bring in a new package with a new coach and shock the bodybuilding world. So guys, leave a comment below. Who do you think Brandon Curry is going to choose as his new coach? Do you think this is a smart decision for Brandon to leave Abdullah after 8 years and the amazing track record they have together? Do you think Brandon should just coach himself? Where do you think Brandon is going to place at this year's Mr. Olympia? Is he going to be in the top 4, top 3? Can he win this year's Mr. Olympia? And last question, do you think this is the last year Brandon is going to be competing at the Mr. Olympia? And will he retire on stage at this year's Mr. Olympia? All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, I appreciate you. Remember to subscribe, like the video, share, and comment. I love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.